If I Rule the World podcast welcomes the Reverend Paul Bearer. How you doing, my brother?
Good. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Living the dream out in the desert of Vegas.
Yeah, we were out there less than a year ago, I think. It was a last minute thing. We were out. We were doing the West Coast. We had like a week long thing with I Hate God, Negative Approach, and whatnot. Yeah. And then at the end, we figured, we had, because we were flying out of Arizona, flying back home. So we figured, let's get a thing in Vegas. We've never been. And it was a last minute show. And it wasn't nothing to write home about by any means.
Yeah.
The promoter was a nice kid, tried to do his best, but he had literally maybe a week and a half to promote. And it was I think it was a Thursday night or a Monday night or some shit like that. It was something ridiculous. But whatever.
I think it was supposed to be in May out here as Punk Rock Bowling, and I had a interview booked with the business. They were coming over here, and I was coming here, so I was like, fuck it. What's the difference? Like in New York, everybody came through New York, so I could do interviews that way. When I come here, it's Vegas. Everyone comes through Vegas, and then just with COVID and everything, it just went. There's just nothing. The city just shut down.
Sure, no, I can imagine. I mean, in New York itself, whatever. I moved. I'm not even in the city anymore.
That was funny because you and I have been talking for more than a year about this, and I was being stubborn. I was being stubborn because I was like, I want to do an interview face to face, and then I was
it just never worked out because I was I was running around like a jerk and just whatever. Sometimes I'd be in the city, sometimes I wouldn't. It was just whatever. I'm also forgetful like an asshole as well. So it was. It was ridiculous. It was like cat and mouse there for a while.
Yeah, and I was always stubborn about it. I was like, I will wait because there's no way I'm going to do an interview with Paul Bearer on the phone. You know what I mean? Who knew the whole world? I mean, the Tonight Show does interviews on Zoom, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I moved up. I'm in Orange County. In the Hudson Valley. I'm like an hour and a half drive from the city. I'm not far.
Right.
It's just long story longer. I had lost my apartment in Brooklyn. I was in my mother's basement because I had nowhere else to go. I couldn't afford anything.
Okay.
And my girlfriend I'd known for over 10 years. I was good friends with her late husband.
Okay.
Who passed away about a little over 2 years ago or so.
Okay.
And I was always kept in contact with her. Check in on her, and I was like, I actually cared about her. She's a nice person, a friend of mine. Right. And we just started talking, and started hanging out, and one thing led to another, and I'm up here. She had the house, and she wasn't sure what she was going to do, and I was like, well, if you want to stay up here at the house, I'd be more than happy to come up here and fix it, help you fix it up. Not that they needed a lot of work or anything. Well, a lot of outside work, cosmetic stuff, and stuff like that. And it's been great. I mean, I have, I'm up here, and that was before the COVID shit.
Yeah. You and I were talking and moving right at the same time. You were like, I'm going up here, and I was like, I'm fucking packing up my house, trying to sell it, and it was like the same time. But it's just like you're telling me this story, and I have to tell you that it's hard to imagine you upstate. But it's just like what we know of you, what we know of Paul Bearer. It's like he's going to be living in Staten Island. That's just you're part of this landscape in my brain. But I do remember when I was a kid, and we're only a couple years age difference, but you lived in Lindenhurst. You lived on Long Island.
Yeah, I lived in Lindenhurst for a little bit. Yeah,
and we were like, I saw Paul Bearer walking on Sunrise Highway. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's our favorite singer of our favorite band. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He doesn't live on Long Island. Yes, he does. And he has a bulldog, like the Lindenhurst Bulldogs, like you had on your jacket. And we're like, get the fuck out of here.
I saw the patch on the thing.
You live there. And we're like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a long time ago. No, I moved out there. I was for a girl like an asshole when I was stupidly engaged to be married at a way too young an age. And
I'm seeing a pattern.
Luckily, I'm glad that fell apart, honestly. I mean, when it first fell apart, of course it hurt. It sucked. Everything, the world was ending. I look back on it now, I'm like, thank fucking Christ.
Hey man, but as artists do, you got a couple good songs out of it. Got a
yeah,
good
no,
lyric
exactly.
or two.
Yeah, and I got a couple of lyrics out of the deal, and whatever. I mean, I was young and stupid.
Yeah.
But
But I'm
I
seeing a
just think
pattern.
about
You
now.
move for women. You move for the
Yeah.
ladies.
Well, the thing is, it's like I think about now. It's like what if I would have gotten married back then? Would I have done half the shit that I did musically? Would I have traveled the world? Would I have kids? Would I still be married? Who knows?
Right.
And and luckily, I didn't stick around to find out.
Hey, luckily you came to your senses, and that's
exactly.
That's why we love you. At the end of the day, Paul Bearer always comes to his senses, no matter what's going on.
I figured, no, that's some point, and relationships come and go as they are over the years and whatnot. And now I have honestly, I haven't been happier in my life with my life ever since now. I have a great woman in my life. We have a beautiful house.
Yeah.
We've got about an acre of land and, a lot of yard work and shit like that, fixing up things. I have a garage. I have a space for it that I want to turn into a rehearsal space. I have storage. I have my own office upstairs. It's like, wow. It's like a playroom, really. It's like, fantastic. I got a desk set up and I got, all my records, all my beer paraphernalia shit, and all my toys all over the place. I got a pool table.
Yeah, I've seen those pictures that you've posted of like.
Yeah, so I can't complain. I can't complain. I have everything right now. I have everything that I've ever really wanted in my life, and I never thought I'd actually ever have.
I'm curious, like, because sometimes you know what you want, and other times you don't know what you want until you have it. So is that something you always wanted, or did you get it and be like, oh, this is nice?
No, I always wanted, my own space.
Yeah.
And room. I always wanted like the property around me. Yeah. Trees and shit like that.
Yeah.
Which we have. We have such an abundance of trees. Forget about it. And it's like my front lawn alone, I could fit like more than 3 of my mother's houses on with the backyard.
Yeah.
Just on my front lawn.
Yeah.
We pay a guy like for $50. He comes once a week and he cuts all the grass and everything like that. So it's like it's something I always wanted, but I never thought I had. I know what I honestly didn't know what the hell I was going. I'm going to wind up in a fucking apartment. If I was lucky, and I had an apartment, my own place in Brooklyn, but my buddy owned the building, so I was paying like 1980s rent.
Right.
But then he was looking to get rid of that, so that's why I lost that apartment.
Right.
And I can't live with any of my friends because, well, they're my friends, and I don't want to live with them. So I really didn't know what the hell I was going to do. No, but I always wanted this. Always wanted my own space and have all be surrounded by my stuff. Everybody thinks like, oh, materialism and all that. Like, you know what? Fuck you. I like my stuff.
Yeah.
I like my stuff. That's one thing I've been saying lately. It's like, because so many of my friends are now, married and have kids and all that. And, God bless them. Yeah. I have nothing against that. But it's like, and I've thought about, having a kid or whatever like that. I think I'd be a good father. But then I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I could really have a kid. I got too much stuff. And I don't need I don't want my stuff getting all sticky and smelling like sour milk and peanut butter.
Right. Who the hell wants a kid knocking over all your shit?
I spent good money on this stuff.
And if toys are going to be bought, it should be bought for you, not for a kid.
Exactly. That's so stupid. I don't need some kid running his fingers across my freaking records or shit. Like, get out of here.
Hey, well,
it's
would
selfish,
you ever?
But hey,
would you ever want a kid? Like, as a single man, we're close in age. I've been married once, but I never had any kids. Would you want kids? Like, being that we're going down the road of like domestication of Paul Bearer, living upstate. Paul Bearer has a landscape. That blows my mind. So would you want a kid?
I'm not so much opposed to it, but I just don't really see it happening right now because, for one, I really can't afford it, and I'm not opposed to it, but like I said, like what, I'm 52 now. She's like 10 years younger than me, so she still can. She still can.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I don't know because, like I said, I really couldn't afford it right now anyway. And I need to get back on the road. I need to get back out there eventually. And she works for the UN.
Oh wow.
My girl.
Look at you.
Yeah. So she.
That's a catch.
Yeah. So she's been working from home since like January anyway. And almost of the stuff she can do right, online and everything. So that's taken care of. She's still been working throughout this whole thing, and she different parts of the UN and everything. Right now, it's like she works with the social media stuff, and like she's got to talk to so many meetings every day online and different people, foreign countries, and this, that, the other thing, and she's been dealing with the COVID thing and. I didn't think it was, especially when the COVID thing hit. That was like one of the main things she was working on. So I was hearing everything firsthand. So whenever fucking Trump was saying all this shit, I was like, well, I know that's not true because I heard it straight from the CDC, the World Health Organization, through my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, kid. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't see it in the cards right now.
All right, because another thing that's interesting is I did not expect that everything you just said is exactly what I've said. I had a girlfriend who was 10 years younger than me. You know what I mean? And I was always like, I'm not opposed to it, but I just don't see it happening. So, you spelled it out quite well. And I have a lot of questions for you. And it's interesting to me because I was looking back through my notes of starting this podcast, and you were like top 5 of the people that I wanted to talk to. And I have questions for you, but since you brought it up, I'm curious how, for sheer terror, COVID has affected you. I know you guys did a live stream a couple weeks ago, so that's a new thing. So obviously you can't work, even in your own work life. I know you did a lot of working at clubs, door guy.
Yeah, well, I stopped that. I quit that even before.
Yeah.
The COVID thing, I retired from that. I was doing security in clubs and bars for like 25 years at least.
Yeah.
And I just when the last place that I was working at, Hi-Fi, used to be Brownies. When I closed down, when that closed, I was like, I was getting good offers from other places, but I was like, do I really want to go to another door? I was like, I'm kind of over this now. I'm kind of over babysitting drunk white kids.
Yeah, and just as another aside, there was, hey, Paul Bearer lives in Lyndhurst. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And then there was another, hey, Paul Bearer works the door. Brownies. We're like, get the fuck out of here. It's like these sightings.
I mean, it was, it was for what it was. The work at one point in time was okay, and it was abundant.
Yeah.
But then, things change, and everything changed, and the crowds have changed, the people have changed.
Sure.
And I have nothing in common with them, and not that that's like so much important, but I just couldn't deal. I just was like, what? I hate these fucking people. I really do. And for the most part, they just want to have a good night out. But I just can't deal with their fucking with the attitudes and the entitlement and the this and the that. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm over it.
But one of the things that I noticed about you, what made you a great front man, when I saw you when I was like 15, you almost seemed like you had nothing in common with everyone, but you spoke like you had something in common because people are like, oh yeah, like you're one of the best front man ever. So for you to say I have nothing in common with these kids, it's like, well, yeah. Well, first day I saw you on stage, it's like you didn't have anything in common with anyone, and you like went for it. It was almost like a fuel. That was like a lot of your rants, like talking in between songs, like the things that you did as a front man was always really interesting to me because I was like, he's not like any other singer. He's not like any other front man. Like other people go like yell unity. Other people yell those platitudes like, hey, we're all in this together. And Paul's like, hey, I got shit to tell you, and I don't care if you want to hear it or not. And it was fucking incredible. It's almost like you were like never have anything in common.
Well, I just, I mean, I have, I have friends.
You know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And it's like, I just didn't feel. I just felt like a lot of the whole talk about we're all in this together and the whole unity. I just felt it was a lot of lip service because there was always like little cliques here and there, and like a lot of backstabbing and a lot of bullshit. And I just saw through most of it, and and it didn't appeal to me. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie to anyone. You know, I have no reason to. This is not why I do this, and it's not why I got into it.
Right.
It's to create a different persona or to be a phony. If they don't like me, they don't like me, and that so be it.
Yeah.
But it's just I have friends that I've had for well over 30 years because of this, and those are the people that I care about, and people that I've known and stuff like that. But that's only because we became friends,
right?
And we got to know each other, not just because we were hardcore kids,
right?
We became friends and we got to know each other. We've had experiences together, and we got to know get involved in each other's lives, and grew up together. And that's what was important to me, because I never really, I always felt like an outsider, but when I did meet certain people who are still in my lives to this day, it was a blessing, because I certainly wasn't looking for it. I mean, I couldn't stand anybody.
Yeah, that was clear to me.
I just felt like an outsider. I just always felt uncomfortable around certain things, and because you're young, you try to fit in with certain things, or you try to give things a shot, but I get tired of it. It just wasn't working.
Yeah,
it wasn't working.
Yeah.
It just wasn't it wasn't who I was. It's like when I was a kid with the whole skinhead thing and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I was, whatever. If you want to say that I was a white power Nazi kid, I guess you could say I was for a few years. I was involved, not so much involved, but a lot of my friends were involved in that. People that I do,
so
who were actually involved.
Or you were involved with the white power thing?
I was involved. The only thing that I was involved in was being a jerk. Right, I just liked being an asshole. Uh-huh. I liked what I liked about the whole thing. When I'm talking about the early days before the TV shit and everything like that. I liked being able to walk in, because from coming from a pimply faced kid who was looked down upon and spit at and challenged the fights every fucking day in like junior high and high school, just because I was a punk rock kid. Yeah. So now I get to this thing, and if I walk into a party, and I'm a teenager, mind you.
Right.
If I walk into a party or a bar and everybody's stomach just sinks, like, oh no, what are they gonna do?
Right.
That I loved. Not so much being a bully, but being a jerk, just being an asshole. And I didn't give a shit about white power. I didn't think I was better than anybody just the color of my skin. I just like being an asshole and getting into fights.
Yeah, and I think that's, people talk about it today, like forget even punk rock and hardcore, but they talk about Proud Boys, they talk about people who are white supremacists. And
once everybody started taking it seriously, that's when I walked away. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, get the fuck out. I was like, no.
What happens is, and I've seen it even in punk rock, the kid who got beat up because he had long hair came back and he was accepted by these white power kids.
Yeah.
He had a shaved head. So it's like, even in just people like they don't get into white power like and have to go to the hardcore scene. They just like the 4chan and these online things, and it's like all of a sudden they're just fucking around. They're fucking with people. They don't even believe it. They don't even know what they believe. And it's like not dissimilar to what you're saying, that you liked being a jerk. Not necessarily.
Yeah, I just like being a jerk. I like getting drunk and getting into fights. And talking to girls who want absolutely nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And just being a troublemaker. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun for me. But like when they started taking it seriously and going on TV and talking about wearing suits and infiltrating, I was like, get the fuck out. You got to be fucking kidding me, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm still listening to reggae records, soul records. Fuck you. Right. And I throw the arm up and yell Seagal, or like just to piss people off.
Right.
The shock value of it. I didn't believe it. I didn't care.
That's
by no means.
It makes sense to me. I was watching old videos and Sid Vicious had a swastika, and I was like, this guy doesn't believe in that. He's just being shocking. He's just
exactly. He's just young kids being jerks and shock value. And just trying to get a rise out of fucking people, and that's what I was fucking doing. And I'll admit to it. I did a lot of fucked up shit when I was a kid. Debts collected, debts paid. I also paid for all the stupid shit that I did.
Right. Right.
But it's like, but I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to say that when I was 17, 18 years old that I didn't have a good time being a jerk. I did.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. When was that? 17, 18.
Yeah, like 17.
Early 80s.
17, 18, 19. And then I was just like, you know what? This is getting ridiculous. And, I was like, I saw people that I liked and like trying to get all serious or looking to do jail time and shit like that. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I was like, come on. This was supposed to be having fun. I thought this was fun.
Right.
I thought we were just being assholes. I didn't think you were like really serious about this. But I was like, all right, if that's the road you want to travel, go right ahead. But no, I'm out. I'm like, I just want to fucking get drunk and get laid.
That
I was a kid.
Sounds like if I had to put you in a nutshell, is like just want to have fun, just want to be a jerk, get drunk and get laid. I mean, that's
all I wanted to do. I was a kid. What more should a kid want?
Yeah. Some things never change.
I'm not sitting around and talk politics.
Right.
I don't want to sit around and fucking. We already did that before that. Listening to Discharge of Crash and waiting for the fucking world to end, and it never happened. What a disappointment.
Yeah, and here we are. I mean, we were close. It seemed like it this year. It just didn't happen.
1984 came and nothing happened. It was such a letdown. I was ready to dress in black and die screaming, and nothing happened.
And,
what happened? We voted Republican.
Well, I'm curious, just to throw it out there. Do you have a political side? Like, where are you politically? Is that a thing for you?
Honestly, I don't really trust any of these cocksuckers. Honestly, I'm certainly no supporter of Trump by no means, and I never would be. Especially being a New Yorker, I don't see how any fellow New Yorker could be a supporter of Trump, especially if you're working class.
Agreed.
Or grew up in a union family.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could remotely support him.
Agreed.
One, if anything, my politics fall more towards socialism.
Okay.
But I get, we're going to be who they're going to be. In my view in socialism would be, socialized medicine, free education, food. Why wouldn't I want my fellow countrymen to be happy, healthy, and intelligent?
Right.
And be able to afford that. Why wouldn't I want that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be selfish, like, oh, well, I got to pay for it too. It's like, all right, your taxes go up a bit, but you know what? It's for everyone. It's for you too.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about this shit. You can go get you can go get help if you need it. You don't have to worry about if you got the money or not.
You know what's funny, Paul? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I think Paul's a Republican, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you famously said you don't work, you don't live in an apartment, right?
No,
technically, that's common sense. That's not a political stance. But in my brain, I bet you because in my own life, I'm not a Republican, but I actually believe more in smaller government. I feel like it's a punk rock thing. Like, I've always been anti-government since I was since dead Kennedys, right?
Yeah,
I look at people online that are my friends, and I'm curious. I'm like, they really seem to believe in the government, and they want, like, whoever, Joe Biden, Bernie, AOC, Donald Trump, whatever, to do more. And I'm like, have we met? Like, I don't understand why you want the government to do more, and you're like thumbs up on any guy. I don't care who it is. I'm like, I feel like when I say I'm small government, people are like, he's a fucking Republican. And I'm like, I'm not. I just don't. I believe the same goddamn thing I did when I listened to Dead Kennedys. The government is useless. But today it's like in fashion to just be like, wait, we have a problem. I think AOC can handle it. I think Bernie can handle it. And I don't have that same faith in these people.
That's just shit. It'd be great if there was a Superman out there that could come and save us all. I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Especially considering most of us we're just a bunch of selfish jerks, and we're just looking out for ourselves on our own. I mean, that's what it boils down to. And that's going to be the death of us all anyway.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, no matter who's in charge.
Yeah.
No matter who's in charge, we're killing ourselves every fucking day. Yeah. Like, without any shame, really.
Right.
It's disgusting, and then that's what politically I lean towards socialism, but then I look at my fellow man and whatnot, and what's been going on, And honestly, George, it's I pray that the fucking the sun
Mm-hmm.
is actually like a sleeping fire god that one day wakes up and swallows us whole.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. That sounds like a Hallmark card if I've ever heard one. You should be writing greeting cards.
Just swallow us whole, and just one big gulp, and we're done, and then we deserve it.
Because for a second, it sounded like you were just about to get sweet, and then the fire god swallows us up. I was like, all right, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Hey, it's instant death. It's not like we'd all be dying in agony. We just, be just vaporized. So.
And I wanted to, one of the things we were writing back and forth about time-wise, and I almost like trying to figure out a way to bring it up, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about what you've been through lately and your good friend that passed, Steve Pass. He's a guy I know of. I've never met him, and I was just curious if maybe you can fill me in and people listening, like who he was and who he was to you, of course.
Steve Pash was the original New York hardcore kid. Grew up in Queens, Rego Park. I remember him from, us both being kids. He's actually 9 months older than me. But I always thought he was like this creepy little kid at the show because he always looked younger than he was. Mm-hmm. And, he was just this creepy little kid. He was running around and everybody knew. And then, back then, like, a lot of those people who I'm friends with now, I wasn't so much friendly towards them, only because I was just an introvert. Okay. And I didn't really talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like, that I knew them and I hated them. I just didn't like anybody.
Right.
So I would see a lot of those people like Jimmy, Roger, Vinny, and stuff like that. Like I knew them, I'd see them, they'd say hello, I'd say hello. But it's not like we were hanging out when I was like 14 with those guys, and Harley and shit like that. We knew each other. Like we'd see each other. But I was by myself for the most part.
Right.
It wasn't until years later that I started to come out of my shell and being a jerk, and then we were all, hey. But I knew him from back then. It's and like always said hello, always friendly and whatnot. In the past 20 years or so, that was when me and him became really close, and became my best friend. As much as I wanted to kill him sometimes because he was a pain in the ass. He was a maniac. He was the world's worst Jew. First of all, the worst Jew in the fucking world. He had a tattoo of bacon and eggs on his knee because that was his favorite meal. and he was just this little angry man, and who was funny, very intelligent, very funny. But and you loved him, but then you wanted to strangle him sometimes because he knew how to push your buttons.
Okay.
He knew he was an expert at that, pushing your buttons to get you pissed off, but then making you laugh at the end.
Right.
Right before you're ready to throttle him, you're laughing.
I mean, I don't know you well, but that sounds like someone that you would be close with. Just off the top.
Yeah, and like we wanted to kill each other so many times, but then we became best friends and. When I put, and we're always hanging out and just doing stupid shit. You're going to the bar and going and crashing at his house in the city, and a lot of things ain't too proud of. But when you run out of cocaine and all you got is Valium, well, let's crush those up and sort them, and we'll go to sleep. So, it seems like a good idea at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Right. All you need is the right buddy to say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And
and we did that. We've done that many times. Yeah. Many times.
And I've always been like, do I consider this guy a good friend because he said yes, or a bad friend because he said yes?
Yeah, exactly.
He should be like, no, go to sleep.
Exactly.
I remember something. I don't know if I like almost pushed this together through different stories, but I do think I remember on Long Island, Sheer Terror was playing. You got a tattoo at, was it Lone Wolf?
The Kill Steve Haas tattoo.
And that's kind of why when his name came up when he was passing, or when he passed, after he passed, and everyone's writing about him, and I was like, the only way I know this name, I think, is because did Paul get a tattoo of Steve Potts?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was so different that I fucking remembered it. So that was true?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
you know, the KSP, Kill Steve Potts, I have my leg that Ronnie did, the ankle.
Ronnie, yeah, Lone Wolf.
And because he's old friend of ours and everything like that. And he had drawn the picture, like this flash of the skull with a cigarette and glasses. And it said, Kill Steve Potts. And I was like, I will totally get that on my leg. He was like, come out to the show, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So we went out early, and then we played the show later that night. And KSP, how that started actually.
Yeah, so videos on YouTube, people yelling "Kill Steve Potts."
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I'm trying to research you, and this is what I get.
How that originally started was he was on tour with Murphy's Law in Europe, and another friend of ours, Johnny Zito, was out with them as well. And Potts, I don't know, drove Johnny Zito crazy. You know, pushing his buttons or whatever, just throwing him. Where Johnny Zito they were sitting, I think, in a club in Germany or something like that. And Zito's got a knife and he's carving into the table, "Kill Steve Potts."
All right, again, friends or foe? I don't know.
So that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, "Kill Steve Potts." So it was just always something that we'd say, and sometimes we'd mean. So I got a tattoo.
Like every joke has a little bit of truth to it. You know,
exactly.
It's a joke, but
yeah. But like I see, then like in the last 10 years, it was since I put Sheer Terabyte together, I was taking him out on the road. You know, he was doing merch for us, and sometimes, hey, let's some managerial shit or yelling at somebody for us or whatever. Right. And he actually helped keep me sane on the road, and helped keep me from wanting to kill a couple of people. Right. He can push my buttons. He can also talk me down.
Right.
And so he he would come out with us, and we'd have a blast. You know, we had a good time. You know, and traveling the world and the country and whatever. And then the last thing that we did with him is when we went to Southeast Asia and Japan, and he'd already beaten lung cancer. He already had lung cancer. And he had a couple of like these small tumors in his brain that they got rid of with lasers or whatever, laser surgery or whatever the fuck it was called. And they got rid of that. He beat lung cancer, so he was doing okay, and he was in remission, and everything was all right. And then we're in Southeast Asia, and there's so many stories I can go into with that, but he wasn't feeling so hot, but we figured it was for the traveling because we did a lot of traveling, a lot of driving, and then the last shows it's flight after flight to go to places. A lot of traveling, and of course, the food, and this, that, blah, blah, blah. There's only so much that you could eat after a while. Right. So and he said he wasn't feeling so hot, but we figured it was because of that. The travel. It was also summertime, and it's hot as fucking balls over there. So that's another intelligent thing, So let's go to hell in August, it'll be great. So we just figured it was that. So we came home, and we had a couple of things lined up, and he wasn't feeling so good. He said, "I'm gonna go to the doctor and get things checked out." And he went and they checked things out. So far, everything was okay. And then he went and they found that the stomach, the cancer had moved to his stomach.
Oh boy!
And it was spreading. And they he had the best of care, literally the best of care. He was very good friends with a friend of his family is very is part of the Langone family.
Okay.
NYU Langone, the hospital and like that. Okay. That was a guy he grew up with, so he had the best of care for free, taking care of the best doctors. And so they tried everything they could, and nothing was working. And he was in a lot of pain constantly. He couldn't eat. And, not that he was a big guy to begin with. He was a small little guy.
Yeah.
And, nothing was working. And he was not a fan. He told the doctors, listen, if nothing's going to work, then you got to just let me know. I'm going to stop treatment because I just want this to be over.
Right.
And they could argue with him. So he stopped treatment. And he was at his mother's house. And his mother's pushing 90. So, God bless her. She handles like a trooper. And he, was there, and they couldn't really, handle him so much. He was like self-medicating, like they were giving him just like painkillers, the doctors. But they were like, she was like, I can't do this. We got to do something with him. So we put him in hospice, and he was in hospice for I don't know, maybe a week, if that. And he went relatively. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. And I went relatively quick. I got to see it 3 times before he went.
Good.
And he recognized me for the first 2 or whatever. Second one, third one, I'm not sure.
How old was
or whatever
he?
I went.
How old is he?
And so he went, and we got him. And to add to the story, he loved collecting miniature things. Small, tiny things. It didn't matter what it was.
Okay.
If it was a miniature, like you're at the airport, and sometimes those restaurants have those tiny little ketchup bottles.
Yeah.
He's got to have it. So he's sticking those in his pocket. Anything miniature he loved. He would steal. He'd line his pockets with them. And if he had enough, he'd give them out to his friends.
It's a hobby that doesn't take up that much space. You could
exactly.
collect tons of stuff. It's all miniature.
You say that, but if you would have seen how much of this stuff he fucking had, it took up every space.
Right, but he can have double the collection because the full size version is just going to take.
Yeah, he was a pack rat.
Yeah. So
he would collect anything small and all this, right? So they had him cremated because he didn't want no service, no nothing, no funeral. He said, have me cremated, and my mother will have the ashes, and whatever she wants to do, she can do. So they had,
to the end.
He's up in the Bronx. They cremated him, and his mother's, like I said, his mother's pushing 90. She couldn't make it up there.
Right.
His brothers and his older brother's kind of whatever, useless. So Jimmy went to stop him.
Yeah.
He went to pick up his ashes. So he's got his ashes. And he had told Pops' mom, like, I got his ashes. I'll bring them by the house. It's like, do you mind if, we take some if we have some, and she's like, no, of course, So Jimmy went online and he found these 2 mini, like they're solid brass urns, like mini urns. You can hold them in your hand.
Okay.
Like in your palm of your hand.
Yeah.
And they come in these blue velvet boxes and everything. So he's gonna have one with some of Pops' ashes, and I'm gonna have the other one. Okay. So, which Pops would love to no end, because now he lives on as a fucking tchotchke on somebody's shelf.
Which sounds about right.
It's perfect. It's a perfect ending.
Yeah.
This is the perfect ending. So.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna go pick him up on Monday night. We're gonna go out and have a couple of drinks, whatever. So.
And as far as it just sounded like not only was he your friend, but he helped you with your band. Like he was my buddy. He was my best friend. The guys in the band loved him. He was funny as shit because like I said, he wasn't a big guy to begin with.
Right. But he'd be doing merch, so we had boxes of merch. And then, he'd pack them up, at the end. And he would sit there, and then he's like, all right, those got to go in the van. He's like, well, I can't carry these. Right. So he'd get somebody to carry the boxes. Whether it be the other guys for the band or guys that work the club, whatever, he'd get them in the van somehow. He's like, I can't put that. Everything weighs more than me. What am I going to do with it?
Well, he sounds like a smarter guy than me, because I'd be that idiot.
Oh, he was a pisser. He was a pisser. He really was.
I'm sorry, what was his age? How old was he?
He was 53.
50. Oh, it's a young guy. Wow.
53?
The pictures that I saw of him recently.
Yeah, 53 because I turned 53 in January. He turned 50. He was turned 54 in March. So yeah. He was 53.
Yeah, looking at the pictures, I thought he was much younger, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I get it. He always looked younger than he was.
Yeah.
Always looked younger than he was. But yeah, no, he was a trip. I'm gonna miss him a lot. He was my best friend, and I'm gonna miss traveling, not having him there,
Yeah.
and just not knowing that I'm never gonna see him again. But I got the memories, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and
there's a lot.
I saw Paul Bearer, Steve Poss, 2020, fuck this place.
Yeah,
campaign slogan. It's like,
we made those shirts and
yeah.
the buttons and that thing. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. His mother even got a shirt. She wore it.
Yeah, I was like, wait, this is a thing. I'm looking at the merch and stuff, and it's it was interesting to me because I'm like, I keep hearing this name. I remembered from the tattoo, and then you told me like something was going on with a friend of yours. He didn't say his name, and then I watched. It's interesting to not know of someone and then just watch what people write about him. So I saw Jimmy Gestapo writing, a lot of his friends writing, and it's like, oh yeah.
No, I mean he that was one thing because he like when he was in the hospital, he didn't want a lot of people coming up to see him and like that, and so like of course, you die, and all of a sudden you got friends that you haven't seen in fucking 30, 40 years. Oh, he's my best friend, and I'm telling him to go fuck themselves. I'm like, no, you're not going to see him, all right? He doesn't want 40 million people going to see him. Sure. I was like, when's the last time you talked to him? 30 years ago. Oh, where you been? Best friend? Fuck you. Get out of here. Ain't going to happen. I had to be that guy, which I had no problem being. not at all.
It's right up your alley, just for the record.
Yeah. It's like, I was like, well, did you have his phone number? No. Well, then you obviously you weren't that close. It ain't gonna happen, all right?
Right.
So whatever. That's what happens. Fuck him.
Well,
Fuck him. We're gonna have something for him eventually when things get back to normal. We'll have some sort of show or something like that. Just for us.
Like a memorial show,
just for us to do something which he would hate.
So why not do it? I mean,
exactly. He would totally hate it.
He would hate it. So you might as well
do it. Put my fucking name. Yeah. Put my fucking name on these things. Oh, we're gonna put it. But then, what would happen? He would hate it. But then, as it was coming up, he'd be like, "Make my name bigger on the flyer." Like,
yeah,
he's one of those guys.
I don't want this, but can you put my name a little?
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, then make me look good.
Right. And how is? I mean, because we talked for a second. You did a live stream in September. So just to get to what Sheer Terror is doing, obviously no one's doing anything.
No, we're just trying to write new material.
Yeah.
Really, trying. I mean, let's keep as busy as we possibly can. I mean, it's we had just started. I just got in the band, to the point where I could do more as a traveling.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of guys in the band that really couldn't travel a lot because of their jobs, which I understand and I respect, but I got to be able to work.
Yeah.
And this is what I do. This is what I chose to do. This is all I've ever wanted to do my whole life.
Yeah.
So I finally had the band together, which I still do. I still have the guys in the band, where we could go away for 3 weeks or a month if we have to. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then of course this happens. So we started doing weeks here. We had get the guy who manages I Hate God. He was booking us. Getting the shows, getting us weekends, getting us week-long thing here, this, that, like, it's great. And then all of a sudden the world goes down.
Right. And I know a lot of the band members that go back and forth in your band. I interviewed John LaFata, who was in one of my bands. I interviewed Gary Bennett, Mike D.
Yeah.
And I was, and it's one of the things I don't think I really asked them, but when you write material, like I know you do the vocals, I know you do the lyrics, but do you write any music for Sheer Terror, or do
it depends. I mean, I'll have things in my head. I'll have a melody or something going on in my head.
Yeah.
I still can't really play an instrument well.
Right.
But I can fuck around on a bass to get my point across.
Right.
I'll try this. You know what I mean? Even if I don't know what I'm doing, and you get it across. Okay, and it goes like this or whatever. So I'll do that. Or so what I do is a lot of arrangements. Then they'll come up with the songs, but then I'll arrange them. I'm like, all right, do this another time, or put this part over here. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I'll do a lot of that. More. It depends. It really depends. Add this, try this melody instead. So I'm lyrics and all that I handle, melodies and shit like that.
Right.
But when it comes to actually music, I'm more of an arranger. when it comes to a lot of the stuff. I mean, I'll write some stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I'll arrange.
Right.
So.
Because
and it works out, you know.
Yeah.
Or if I hear, I'm also very picky, especially now since I decided to do it again. I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I just want to put out good records. I don't want to put out filler or bullshit. So, and sometimes it drives them crazy because they're like, they'll come up with a song, they'll send it to me, and I'm like, nah. They're like, what's the matter with it? I'm like, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with it? I'm not feeling it. But what do you mean you're not feeling it? I'm like, I just don't feel it, all right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it sucks. It's just, I don't like. I think you could do better.
Right.
But how? I'm like, well, that's for you to figure out.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I remember when we were younger and hearing Just Can't Hate Enough and that whole record, and it was like you were actually singing on the record. And there's bands in hardcore that try and sing, but they try and sound like something mainstream, something different. And there's just 1,000 bands that kind of change their style. But the way you sang was always like it sounded so natural and really different.
I've improved thankfully over the years.
Yeah.
Because I can't listen to so much of that old stuff. I can't even. It just drives me up a wall. I'm like, ooh, okay, that guy away from the microphone.
Yeah.
But it's just I was just always wanting to try something different, and it was like through my influence stuff like that because it was like. Or whatever I liked, musically. It's like, yes, I love hardcore punk rock,
And you always,
not as hard.
I remember you famous...
The keyword punk rock, but also, I love Joy Division. I love New Order, I love shit like that. I love Elvis Costello.
And rockabilly and all that stuff.
Rockabilly, yeah. I'm more of a soul guy than anything. More of a soul and reggae guy. Than anything, honestly.
It's funny because when I was a kid, and you said to me, and you're not going to remember this, but you told me that what you liked was rockabilly, soul, and all this stuff, and I'm like, it's Paul Bearer. I thought you were going to say fucking, the craziest punk rock music that I never heard of.
No, well, that's just it. I mean, I love
stuff, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, I mean the old punk stuff. I mean, I'm a huge fan and huge collector. Like old, like 70s, especially UK 70s punk, some American as well, but I always have an affinity for the UK 70s punk stuff, and early skinhead shit and whatnot, which I still, I have tons of, and I still collect whatever I don't have or can find, whatever, I still buy vinyl like an asshole, and spending money I ain't got.
Right.
Because it makes me happy, and I enjoy it, and I actually listen to the records.
Is that what you spend when you DJ? Is that the type of stuff you
I spend soul music when I DJ mostly.
Okay, yeah.
Or soul 45s, like Northern and crossover soul. Dance music. It's basically dance music from the 60s and 70s.
Okay, yeah.
It's soul music, it's dance music. If I can get some girls out there shaking their asses, my job's done.
Yeah, it's part of the job, I would imagine.
Exactly, and that's the music I enjoy. I've always had affinity for since I was a little kid. Growing up and loving the Jackson 5. Growing up in New York and always hearing soul music on the radio and stuff.
Right.
Or in the neighborhoods I lived in Staten Island or wherever. So it wasn't like anything, new. You know what I mean? It's like it was always there. So and then as I grew up, I just started delving more into it. And delving more into reggae and the early R&B shit and whatnot. And and still to this day, I mean, I'll spend a couple $100 on a fucking 45 because I'm an asshole.
Yeah. Some things never change, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. But I play it though. I'll spin it. I take care of my records. I clean them. I have them protected, and
right.
But I'll bring them out, and I want to play them. I want to see some girls dancing this thing.
Some guys our age, they collect cars. That's just never been my thing.
Yeah,
vinyl
exactly. No, me. I'm vinyl head. Records. And just whatever else strikes my fancy. I'm a fucking weird salt and pepper shakers, really just strange ones that what the hell is this thing? I got a guy, who's flushing himself down a toilet. That's a salt and pepper. around the rim it says "Goodbye, cool world." it's ridiculous. But I love the ridiculous and the and shit like that. I collect like actually PG tips, the chimps.
Yeah,
English. Yeah.
At one point we were Facebook friends, and at one point you deleted me, and I'm not sure why.
Oh, I don't even know.
Kind of bums me out, but I'm like, you get deleted by Paul Bearer. It's kind of a stamp of approval. I don't know why, but I was fine with it. But I saw you'd have pictures of like maybe like things in your home, and it's funny. Like I interviewed Gary Bennett, and Gary Bennett, I was like, what's Paul Bearer like? And I'm pretty sure it's on the episode, but I remember him saying, Paul Bearer is the true version of punk rock. And if you call someone punk rock, it's almost like underwhelming because it's an overused thing. Oh, it's so punk rock, right? But what he was saying was, he's like, Paul does exactly what he wants to do, and he doesn't give a fuck. And I'm like, yeah, that actually is the true version of punk rock.
Well, that's just what I've always the way I live my life. I mean,
yeah,
I've had straight jobs, construction. Landscaping, painting. I'll do whatever I have to do. If I need to make a buck, I'm not too proud or too think I'm better than that. But I've always wanted to live my life where I don't have to ask somebody for permission.
Right.
And I understand people who have to, and people who need to do that. But I never wanted to be that guy.
Yeah, and when you're growing up,
and that's what I strive for, and I've attained, and it hasn't been easy. And I've eaten a lot of shit because of it. I've passed up a lot of good opportunities because of it, and I've lost a lot of money because of it.
Right.
But it's now it's paid off where I'm in a position with my woman and in the house where I don't have to sweat so much. I mean, I'm getting unemployment, which ain't a lot right now, but I contribute to the house as much as I can monetarily. Luckily, she's still working. But I put a lot of sweat equity into the house by doing a lot of the repairs and the yard work and this, that, and the other thing. We put in I have a waterfall in my backyard that I paid for.
Now, if I don't get a picture of you in front of the waterfall, I'm going to be insulted.
I could do that. We can make that happen.
There's got to be a selfie. But, like when you're a kid, when you're young, you think to yourself, say you're 15, right? You're like, I can't wait to be an adult. I can't wait till I'm older so then I can do what I want. As it turns out, it's not that easy. You get to be an adult,
it's not.
And you have you kind of think you reach a certain age and you just do whatever you want to do. But as it turns out, you have to do more. And you almost like it's like Stockholm syndrome. You just get to.
There's a lot of sacrifice.
But
a lot of sacrifice.
The way you've lived your life was not like that.
I could have had, if I would have stuck around at some of the jobs that I had, and if I would have become the union guy that I could have become in so many different jobs or whatever, I could have had my own house by now.
Right.
I could have had this. I've never even owned a car.
Right.
I could drive. I've been driving for years, but I don't even have a license because I never owned a car. I never needed one.
Right.
I was no wife, no kids, no kids.
Right.
But I still needed to work, and I had bullshit jobs. But I wanted to have bullshit jobs because, having a career outside of music just wasn't appealing.
It's not going to happen.
I saw that, and I saw it coming. I saw it like running at me. Like, you're going to be a welder. You're going to be a plumber. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And I'm dodging it left and right.
Right.
So, no. I want to travel the world like a fucking irresponsible asshole and play music.
Right.
Because that's all I ever fucking wanted. It's been the only constant in my life for, almost 40 years.
And it is work. And I think most people that don't do it don't understand.
Oh, no, it is work. No. It is work, and it can be annoying, but it's the best job I've ever had.
Right. I mean, it is at times 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Big time.
If you're, and it's like, last thing in the world I want to do is play right now, but this is my job.
Yeah, but
I got to do it.
Yeah. That's what I tell. Like, we're on the road. We're on the road, and if somebody starts complaining or whining about something, I'm like, well, we can go home.
Right.
Want to go home? Want to go work? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, then shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
You know? It's like, you can easily just go home and sit around and, you can go back to work, you should gather your hay, or you can, bite the bullet right now, and tomorrow you can get drunk. It won't be in Milwaukee or wherever the fuck we are, Sweden or wherever.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why I always tell them. I was like, never mind what's going on with other bands. And that's what, like, with the early incarnations of sheer terror, like with Newman and Chicky and whatnot.
Yeah.
Those guys were always worried about what other bands were doing, especially Newman.
Okay.
Like, how come that band's doing that and we're not doing it? How come Circus is doing that and we're going on tour with this and we're not? Right. How come this is happening and we're not? How come whatever? And I'm like, well, first of all, because they went out and they worked.
Right.
And you guys whined. The tours that we did do, you guys whined the whole fucking time, expecting, like, that we were going to get, like, top treatment or something, like, expecting something that we haven't earned yet.
Right.
One. But I was like, you know what? Never mind what they're doing. So don't Polish. I don't know how to say it Polish because I never learned the language. Right. But is it all Polish at the fucking word adage or whatever? It's not my monkeys, not my circus.
Not my monkeys, not my circus. Well, you just titled this episode, just so you know.
It's like, never mind. And, like, don't get me wrong. I've said a couple of things, like, recently. I had said something about Sick of It All, and Lou took offense to, which I will apologize for, because but it was anything that I haven't said in the past.
What'd you say? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I had said something on stage. I don't even remember doing it. This was a couple of years ago. I was like, they're like, all these bands, like, they're not pissing people off. They're not making people angry. Like, right. You never hear about, like, oh my God, did you hear what Sick of It All did? And, like, what who said? And, we're mad at that. It's like, and, but to me, that's what this whole thing is about. Was about pissing people off and making them, if they're going to hate you, they're going to hate you. But you're going to smack them in the face and make them wake up.
Right.
And I unfortunately, I don't see a lot of bands doing that. But, I got to remember, not everybody is me. So, whatever. Let them do what they want to do. But I had said something about it, but it wasn't the first time I said it. And it's not the only band I've ever said it about. I've said it about a Run. I've said it about a lot of bands.
Right.
But who would take offense to it? And said something, well, we pissed nobody off, but we pissed you off, huh, Fatso? Or whatever. I'm like, okay, Fatso? All right. I'll remember that. But whatever. So, who cares?
This is on social media, I'm imagining. You go back and forth?
This was, no, he said it and he might have even said it in his book. I don't know. But whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll apologize to those. You don't want to fight Frenkie. I really didn't mean to. Because I like Lou.
Yeah.
I like those guys. I respect them. They worked for what they got. They went out and they did it, and they busted their asses. I have nothing but respect for them. Nothing but respect for them. Honestly. And with any band going out there and working and doing and making the bid, and doing it. Whether I listen to it or not, it's neither here nor there.
I mean, hey man, nobody likes to be insulted, but if I was going to be insulted, I'd be okay with you insulting me and Don Rickles. You know what I mean? It'd be like, all right, that's kind of it's all in.
Yeah, it's like whatever. I talk. I go on stage sometimes. I talk. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. Or whatever. I'm not meaning what I'm saying. I'm not it gets misconstrued or whatever. And I didn't mean to insult them. I didn't mean to make it mad. If I made it mad, I apologize. But whatever, you get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Does
what I say really matter at the end of the day? Is it going to stop people from going to see Sick of It All? No. So it's whatever.
But like you mentioned their book, and before you deleted me on Facebook, goddammit, I used to read your posts, and they were very literate, very eloquent, and you also are like well known for what you say in between stage. And it's kind of the trend of, Roger did it, Sick of It All did it. Would you ever do a book?
I would. There was nothing more that I would like to do a book, but I don't know what I have things written, but I don't want to do an autobiography because this stage of the game, it's who cares? And my story isn't really that far removed from a lot of other people's, or that interesting, to tell you the God's honest truth.
Yeah, but you're a good storyteller, so you can make uninteresting things interesting.
What I would do if I was to do a book,
mm-hmm.
I would take some of these stories and stuff that I have written. Some of it's taken from true life, and some of it is just situations I created. And I would put together a collection of stories. Some of it's true life.
I mean, it would be.
That would do, because that's writing one, which I love. I love the written word, one of my first loves, and that would I consider writing, and I would do that, and that would really test myself, rather than I was born the son of a poor sharecropper, and then I found punk rock and saved my life. You know what I'm saying? It's so many. How many books you're gonna put out? Yeah, we know the Lower East Side was rough back then. We know, we get it. Yeah, it was terrible.
Right, but you have a.
You lived in an abandoned building. Oh, you too? Okay, that's great.
You have a different.
I didn't live in an abandoned building. I didn't want to.
You have a different storytelling perspective, right? So you're on stage, and the way you speak is just not unlike you're talking right now, which is difficult to do on a stage. It's just not. It's almost like you feel like you want to fall back into, hey man, let's thank the opening bands. Right? So it's like a nervous reaction. I see bands do it all the time. They just don't know what to do, so they're like, "Hey man, let's thanks for coming." Blah blah blah. It's like a platitude. Yeah. But the way you've always been is not easy, and it demonstrates like a different type of singer. Like you want to go to see Sheer Terror. I love Sheer Terror, but we keep coming back because of you, because of the between the fucking songs. I remember.
Well, I got something to say. I mean, this is why I do this, because I got something on my mind and I want to get it out, whether or not people want to hear it or not. And sometimes it could be important. Sometimes it could be important to nobody but me. But I still got to get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was a video of you, and I tried to find it the other day, and I couldn't find it, but I know it was on YouTube, of you doing spoken word. Do you know? Was it? There was like something.
Probably in Philadelphia. There was a.
It was a long time.
There was a video. Yeah, in Philadelphia, I did a thing all the time. I did it here and there. I did a couple of spoken word gigs here and there. I haven't done it in quite some time, actually, a few years. Just haven't really felt the urge, and it's something that I never wrote down what I was going to write about, talk about, or anything like that. I just went up there and talked shit. Whatever was on my mind, that's what came out.
And it was great. It was funny, but it's like, spoken word it sounds stupid. It sounds like someone's going to get up and do poetry. It's like, who the hell wants to do poetry?
Well, that's just it. I mean, a lot of guys, like, I would see guys go up there and they'd read from their book. And that's just lazy.
Yeah.
It's like, what are kindergartners? We're going to sit around, Indian style, around your feet, and you're going to read us a story? You know what I mean? It's like, no, you go up there and talk to the people. What do you have to say? What's on your mind? You're gonna piss anybody off, you piss them off. You're gonna make them laugh, you make them laugh. But you talk, you try to communicate, try to maybe make a connection. But that's sometimes that can be a loaded gun. But you do it.
Yeah,
you do it. But just go up there and read. That's like really.
All right.
I read that myself.
In that situation, it's like, do we even need to be here? You're just reading to yourself, I think. But,
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what they put the books on tape or the CD, the audio books and shit like that. I really
that you should do, Paul. Like, forget about writing anything down. If you could put together like a collection of stories, audio, I'll fucking.
But I want to read. But the thing is, I want to read somebody else's story. Like with mine, I want like with my story. I don't know. You get like somebody ridiculous has absolutely nothing to do with me, like Tilda Swinton or something like that. Has absolutely nothing to do with me, hardcore or anything, but just her reading it.
You could do that too.
Like why is she reading the Paul Bearer book? I don't know. Just something like that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have fun, have fun with it. You know what I mean? Get the most ridiculous person possible to read your story. Well, I would love it if Red Fox was still alive. You know what I mean? Get Red Fox.
Fox getting up. All right, talking in your voice. It's kind of perfect. So we're up over an hour. I could talk to you all day. I want to make sure that I get in some of the things that Sheer Terror did lately. I know you guys released,
Sure.
You released a vinyl of your first show, right? Recently, maybe back in February.
Yeah, from the first show.
From the first show, which is most people don't release their first show; they'll do a live at whatever. But that's interesting. Like, why did you do that?
I had the tape for years. It was recorded literally. I had found like a few weeks before that. I was walking around with like a bunch of other guys in the city, and we found like this bag on the street, and it was like like clothes in it and shit, and it was this Iowa tape recorder. It was a brand new. It was like a nice one, especially like 1984 or 85. It was nice, and it was a portable recorder. Okay. So I had that, and we had a show coming up. So I had my buddy Tony hold it in the crowd. I was like, "Yeah, hold this, record the show." Not even thinking about, we'll have a board tape. So we did have a board tape, but it just sounded boring, whatever.
Right.
This one, you should get the crowd noises and stuff. So I had the tape for years. It was actually recorded on a cassette. It was actually recorded over a dub of the First Specials record. Okay. So it wasn't even like a brand new cassette.
It sounded better than you're explaining it. I didn't realize it was like
well,
that.
we had Glenn. We had Franco, who put out John Franco. That city, he brought it to Glenn from No Redeeming.
Okay.
He's got like a studio set up, whatever. And Glenn cleaned it up the best that he could. So that's why he did that. I was figuring, just to get it out, why not? We had the 35th anniversary show coming up.
Right.
We're like, we'll take the best songs from this friggin' thing and put it out there. What the hell? Why not? Just for the hell of it, for fun. So so we did that. It came out nice. It was cool. It was cool, and everybody got their cop. Barry got his copies. Reed,
right?
Blake, whatever. So no, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because I'm looking up all your stuff, and I'm like, man, Sheer Terror has a lot of merch. I mean, I was looking at the Pole Bear Steve Poss thing, and there's a vinyl of your first show, and I'm like, after 35 years, you're putting out good ideas. Like, here's a vinyl of our first show, and here's like.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, we definitely since we put the band back together, we've definitely gotten more prolific in that sense.
Right.
Which I always wanted. I always wanted to be able to have like a bunch of 7 inches out here and there. You know what I mean? Put one out, either a split or just put out a flexi just for fun.
Right. You guys.
I always wanted to have that just because just to get stuff out there and stuff for people to collect. Cause I love collecting. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we've been able to do that, which is that's a blessing. It definitely to be able to do that, I'm definitely appreciative of that. We got a split coming out soon. Actually, I think it's coming out in Europe and the States. 2 different labels, 2 different covers.
Okay.
It's split with I Hate God because the last flexi that we did, the New Life, the Depeche Mode song. That was originally supposed to be a split with I Hate God, but they took forever and a day to do their part because of whatever. So we put it out as that flexi just so we can bring something to Japan, really. And that's what there's only like 200 of those made, I think. And so they can split coming out. I don't know what label's doing in the States. Anthony, my drummer, he's got a part of it. He's helped putting it out because he has nothing else to do, I guess. So like whatever. You want to run to the post office? Go right ahead, kid.
Fucking goddamn best drummer. Jesus Christ.
He's a blessing. I want another one. I want to fucking kill him half the time because he's got to see he can get like a smarmy fucking little attitude sometimes, and he knows it pisses me off, and I want to kill him. But I love him to death. I take a bullet for him. I love him to death.
Amazing drummers. It's not you can't not have it in your band. Like it has to be something.
Yeah, we lucked out with him. We lucked out with him. Gary knocked him into line and get him to play. When we first put it back together, Gary was like, you're doing this, and Gary guys practiced him every day and made him learn kick, double kick and everything. Gary's like, you're doing this, you're gonna play and shit there, and he worked him like a dog.
When John Fada started playing with you, I was like, Did you get the?
He was fun.
Yeah, we were in a band together, me and John. And
yeah.
when I interviewed John for this podcast, we were in a band, Mind Over Matter. We were together, and he told me, he goes, being in Sheer Terror was paid me the most fairly, like paid me the best. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, wait a minute, we were in a band together. What the fuck are you saying? Well, we didn't make any money, so. And he was like complimentary of like working with you, and
the brief period that we played together, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. I think you did a couple shows and tours, but
but we had fun though. He's a funny guy to travel.
And I was like, did you have to get a cowbell? And he's like, yeah, I got the cowbell.
I did. I don't remember exactly. So there was something going on with the cowbell. He didn't have one. I forget.
Or maybe he said he didn't do it. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe he didn't.
I don't remember. There was always something ridiculous going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was great. Gary, of course, he's like my little brother. He's always got a place in the band.
Yeah.
Regardless. You know what I mean?
And
whenever he wants to come and play a show or fill in or whatever, he's always welcome.
And Mike D, I interviewed him
Mike D can go fuck himself.
All right, that was unexpected.
Yeah, I am not from. Me and Mike D are no longer friends. I don't want to get too. I don't want to get too into it. But Mike D doesn't respect rock and roll.
Okay.
And he's a jerk. And I'll say that because that's how I feel about the guy.
Yeah, for the record, I love him. You don't like him.
No, you can like him. You can like him all you want. I don't give a shit. Yeah. But I just think he's a fucking jerk. And he doesn't respect rock and roll. He can go fuck himself.
That's totally unexpected. But rather than drill down on that, who's in the band now? Who's in the band now?
Well, Andy's still doing, of course, our drums.
Okay.
He's the only one that's still from there since you put it back together. Johnny on guitar, Eggs, another guy I know for years from Staten Island. He and Jason, who was playing bass, who played bass for us well, they were like in their first couple of bands together, like when they were teenagers. And I know Johnny for years. Since he's like a teenager and shit. He's only a couple of years younger than me. And from Staten Island and whatnot. And he's an amazing guitarist. All he only does is play guitar. I mean, he works. Don't get me wrong. He's got a great job. He works with the scows and the tug. Well, he was doing tugboats, right? Just like the scows, like fuel oil, kerosene, wastewater, like the barges. They go to the ships and they transport that. He works the barges.
Okay, that sounds like a good.
So it's actually a pretty dangerous job, but he's been doing that for years.
I just think union. It's got to be a good gig, money.
I don't know if he's union. He might be. I don't know. But either way, he's got a great job, and he's been doing it for years, and it allows him the time to travel. So. He's a great guitarist, a very talented guy, and I've known him for years. We have a lot of fun together. He's sober for good reasons. He had to go away for a little while, but that was years ago. But he's a great guy. He's funny and very big talent, and it's learning to write together. It's something new.
Yeah.
So. We're taking our time.
Right.
And then Brendan on bass, he lives up in Rochester.
Okay.
He had actually he filled in on bass he filled in on bass for us before. And like when we would go to Canada, Johnny couldn't get in, so Jason played the guitar and Brendan filled in last minute, came in last set, played bass. And he filled in a couple other times, and then when I wanted, the plan originally was for him to play second guitar.
Okay.
Because we had the two guitarists thing for a minute there. We had Johnny and Gary, and it sounded fucking great.
I love the two guitars in your band.
It sounded great, and I had two of the best guitarists in the business.
One is okay. One works, doesn't matter, but two is
yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
But we had the two, and I had two of the best players in the business as far as I'm concerned. And it sounded amazing. But, then Gary's got the job and, this, that, the other thing. He can't do something. So, all right, we're going to get Brendan. But then, who never really got a chance. He plays on the last EP, on the Paul Family. He plays, no, Brendan's not on that. Gary, that's the only EP that has the 5-piece with Gary and Johnny. But after that, Brendan was supposed to come in and fill in and play second guitar, but then it was just getting too much for Jason not be able to travel and work. So I just, had to make a decision.
Yeah.
I just feel like, listen, Brennan's going to be playing bass because I need to work. And if it ever crosses again that we could do a second guitarist, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm not going to just jump into it.
Yeah.
Because, but it's because Brendan, great player, great guy. I have a great band. I have a bunch of great guys backing me up, great players, and it's just now it's just like they're learning to write together thing. It's that's the growing pains with that. But it's coming together. We're taking our time.
It's got to be difficult because, like, when I think of sheer terror, I'm like, you can't just phone it in.
Well,
it's
what it is. I don't want.
You has to.
I know people expect certain things from sheer terror.
Yeah. Certain
things, which I'm not going to deny them, but I'm also not going to rewrite the same song over and over again.
But but even whether
I got to keep it fresh for me. If I'm not interested, if it doesn't move me, how's it going to move anybody else?
Right.
I look at it.
Right.
So that's why it's like, certain things, yes, we have to do. Certain sounds and a certain sound we have to have because that is our sound.
Sure.
But every now and then, I like to throw in the monkey wrench. I like to set fire to the carpet.
Right.
I like to, give somebody the hot foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to hear here's the shaving cream pie in the face. That's me. That's what I like to do every now and then.
I mean, you did it even on your first record. Some of those songs.
You got to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
You can't just That's why when I see, without putting too fine of a point on it, when I see some of my quote unquote peers doing that though,
right,
the same thing over and over, and kind of, and singing about the same shit over, and it's like, really, guy, you've grown since. What else is going on in your life? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
because I know it can't just be about how we're all, you and me, unity, unity. I mean, come on, you push 60 up. Come on.
And you can be successful in hardcore, rewriting the same goddamn thing over and over.
Oh yeah.
And you'll have 200 kids at your show. You'll have.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a double-edged sword because hardcore kids want hardcore. So when you're in hardcore and you try and give them something a little different, it's riskier than it sounds. It's like,
no, it is big time.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do. I love to fuck with them.
Right.
That's why we did Boys Don't Cry. That's why we did a Depeche Mode song. Right. That's why when we played in friggin' Sweden at this big skinhead festival, we did Dancing Queen by ABBA. Because you gotta.
That's something I gotta hear. I gotta hear Sheer Terror doing Dancing Queen, and I need a picture of Paul in front of a waterfall. And I would say then 2020 is not a fucking waste. Because otherwise it's a waste.
Now you gotta fuck with people. You gotta keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
It makes it interesting for you. It just makes the whole trip more interesting.
Yeah, man.
Because after a while, it's like, didn't we see this cornfield already? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, what you do when you drive by it for the second time, you set it on fire, so it ain't there no.
Well,
what's past the the corn? Oh wow, look at that house. Let's go fuck with that.
That's the world according to Paul, if I've ever heard it. Set it on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Burn it all.
I think we have ourselves a podcast, Paul. I think we did about an hour and 20.
Finally.
And I have to tell you something. I moved to Vegas and I stopped doing the podcast, and I'm like, I gotta get back into it. And you were on my list from day one. Like, you have your list of people. I'm never gonna, interview Paul McCartney. And I had like you, and I had Jimmy Gestapo, and I had HR, and it was just something.
Did you do HR?
Yeah, I interviewed.
You did?
I did.
Oh, how was that?
Man, well, he was better than expected. I'll say that.
Really?
But it was an interesting way to get him to do the interview. It was like.
Was he still like loopy, or did after he had his operation, or I don't even know.
I had really low expectations just because of what I've seen with him lately, right? So we just kind of figured this isn't gonna go well, but what the fuck? We had 20 minutes with him. That's all they would give us, and
you did it in person?
Yeah. We were supposed to do it in a club, right? And the club was too loud, so I was like, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it in my car. And he just came. He sat in my fucking 2008 Saturn, and we did an interview, and he was like, great. And it was unexpected. I mean, he was good enough. I'll say that. Like he knew what we were talking about, but I just thought like he was gonna go off the deep end only because of what I saw, and even the documentary.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like he showed up like a flower pot on his head or some shit.
Nah, man, he did straight up like walking around. Quiet, spiritual. Like
he's a nut. I got he's a Steve Potts HR story, and I have to find this thing too. He's got to have it in his storage space.
The thing was too, which was odd, is I had to take him from the club to my car, and then from my car back to the club. Like, and I was like, all the stories are HR disappears. He's a nutcase. Yeah. I was like, I just had it in my head. I gotta fucking get him back to the club because if he doesn't show up, it's gonna be my fucking fault. And I
think you got like one of them like the halter things they put on hyperactive kids.
Yeah, like and
like a leash.
That's what I was afraid of. We're walking back from the club, so it was just as awkward as you can imagine. Like we're done with the interview. It was like a first date, so I was like, "Hey, man, do you remember playing Sundance like 25 years ago?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, it was awesome." I was like,
"That was a good show."
When I finally got him, we got to like a store, and then he saw people he knew, and he like veered off, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I want water." I'm like, "Stay here." And I like ran into got water, handed it to him. I ran faster than if like my mom asked me to do something. I was like, "I got you." And then I took him. It was literally like we were walking towards the club, and I could see his manager, and I like just walked him and picture like you setting a sail in a lake, and I just like pushed him like a boat and just watched him walk to his manager. I'm like, "I'm done. He's yours." Got him back to the club.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, he showed up. This is a few years back, like right before he did that the motorcycle helmet stunt at Stevie's.
Which was
like right before that, he showed up in New York out of nowhere, right? And he showed up at like Niagara or whatever. And Jesse, our good friend Jesse Mallon from DJ and whatnot, and one of the artists of Coney Island, that's an old friend of ours who takes care of everybody. You know, he's a great friend of mine. I love him to death. Jesse Mallon, nothing but respect and love for him.
Yeah, good dude.
So he told us this. He was like, shit, okay, I got to watch out for this guy. Try to get him in contact with the other Bad Brains guys and see what's going on, because he just showed up in New York out of nowhere wearing like this like suit, jacket, and he had an acoustic guitar, and like that's pretty much it. He didn't really have anything else.
Yeah.
So Jesse was going to get him a hotel, but first somebody couldn't get the room or something like that, so he called Paz going to the city. So Paz, you put him up for like a day or two till I get this thing worked out with the no. Paz was like, jeez, yeah, okay, fine. So Paz got stuck with him for like 2 or 3 days in his house in Queens, in his apartment. He's like, I don't remember him bathing. I fed him some chicken. I gave him some pot. And I was doing cocaine, and I just told him, you can't have this because you're crazy.
If you give HR coke and he does a backflip, I'd be into that, But
what he did then? Paz had him write an IOU for $30,000, which is somewhere in the collection of stuff we have to find.
Wow. See, these are the stories you need to tell Paul.
That's the best thing. He gave Steve, and I have to fly there. I'm hoping it's in Steve's storage space that we have to go empty out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it's in there. When HR was there, he goes, I want to give you something. It's very valuable. This is a diamond, and I want you to hold this. I want you to keep this. It's a big chunk of plexiglass.
It's a diamond. All right,
So he's like, All right. So he's had it now, and for a while we would break it out, and we would do lines with the HR diamonds. We would call it the HR. Oh, it's the HR diamond.
Paul, this is a sin if you don't get these stories out. This is what I'm saying. You need to do an audio book and tell all these fucking stories. And if you need someone to record it, you call me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. We're gonna go to a storage space maybe next week or whatever. And I hope the HR diamond is there because I have to have it. It's got to stay in the family.
I mean, it's only right.
Oh, my course full of fucking nut jobs, I tell you.
Yeah, man. You know,
bunch of fucking wackos.
it only attracts the best, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Emotional cripples and nut jobs.
Yeah, it's like I think you kind of alluded to it a lot, but I remember being like when people ask, well, what got you into hardcore? And I'm like, it wasn't unity. It wasn't respect. It was like attracted to violence and fucking nut jobs. Like eventually you meet friends and eventually you're like, all right, there probably shouldn't be fights here. But in the beginning, when I saw fights and 50 kids piling on the singer, I was like, I don't like football. And this just answers to my testosterone. So
yeah, there's gonna be a football game going on. Yeah. There's a football game going on, and then you look over to behind the stands, and there's a bunch of fucking dirtbags smoking dust and having a fucking Roman candle fight. What you gonna go to?
Right. I mean, football has the cheerleaders. It wasn't exactly that,
exactly. You know what? They ain't banging me anyway. You might as well give me a fucking. I don't smoke dust, but give me a Roman candle.
Right. Yeah.
Let's go set fire to a dumpster.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Man. So we did it. We finally got it done. And
all right.
You're my first episode back. I bought all new equipment. Hopefully it recorded you. That would be
cool.
Good.
That would help. Yeah.
I appreciate it, brother. Like, it means a lot to me.
Definitely. No, I appreciate it too. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, man. All right. I'll let you go. We'll talk soon.
All right. You take care, Mo.
All right. Be well. Peace.